Stephanie Chang. I'm the Global Editorial Director of The Trust, which is the custom content studio and creative consultancy at the Wall Street Journal Barron's Group. I want to thank you all for joining us for what I'm sure will be an inspiring and informative discussion with three powerhouse women CIOs, each leading large enterprise cloud transformations and blazing a path for other women leaders in technology for the future. Our panelists today include Preetha Mehra, CIO and Executive Vice President for the U.S. Postal Service, Ashley Pettit, CIO and Senior Vice President of State Farm, and Diane Levin, CIO of McCormick. And I'd like to give you a little more background on each panelist. Preetha oversees one of the world's largest technology infrastructures with 5 national deployment and solution centers, 37,000 network locations, 20,000 servers, and more than 950 applications on more than 215,000 devices, processing more than 90 petabytes of data per year. Preetha drives secure, innovative capabilities and digital transformations to support the organization's mission to be the nation's preferred delivery service. Her key strategies are to modernize platforms, prioritize security, and harness technology innovations to enable insightful business solutions. Ashley has dedicated her career to continuous innovation and adaptation, and her future-focused approach merges business with technology to enhance State Farm technical platforms and personalized customer experiences. Her work, driving one of the largest digital transformations in company history, has garnered the attention of the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, and CIO Magazine. She credits her success to her genuine interest in developing leadership qualities that reflect her values, and she's devoted to coaching and mentoring women in STEM and technology. Diane drives the global information technology strategy for McCormick and collaborates with business leaders across the company to deliver competitive advantage and innovation through enabling technologies. She ensures that McCormick's technology solutions are scaled for growth, compliance, and efficiency. As CIO, she sponsors transformational initiatives that create value-driven outcomes throughout McCormick's business functions and commercial business segments for consumer and flavor solutions. So welcome again, Diane, Ashley, and Preetha. So I'd like to start our conversation with a question that's directed to all of you. I'm wondering if you can start out by telling us about your personal journey and how your experience and skills transitioned you into the cloud space. So Diane, I'm hoping that we can start with you with that question.
And I'm hoping I can start the tech, and it works. So thanks so much. Thanks so much. Yes. So, my journey in technology, really started by chance. When I was in university many years ago, I was actually studying economics and business. And also on the side, in my extracurricular activities, I studied creative writing and programming. And so also through that period, I actually worked full time all through my undergraduate work. And one of the first experiences I had with technology was implementing a system at one of the companies I worked at during my studies. And it was the first time I actually saw how technology could really change the way you work and actually make your life easier and really, add value to what you did day to day. So I kind of got caught up in that excitement. But I think for me, the other piece of it was I just gained a lot of experience understanding how businesses operated, the P&L, what drives growth, and really figuring out how technology is going to really drive businesses forward in the future at that time. I'm also a very people-oriented leader, and I really do believe that technology is all about the people. It's powered by the people who build it, who used it, and who innovated in it. And so when you start really understanding people and what motivates them and how we can really innovate together, that's what I think is a skill that's helped me transform right into a technology leadership role. And I think the other piece for me, really being comfortable being uncomfortable. So Fast forward decades from what I just talked about, technology has changed, businesses have changed, how we go to market has changed, and how we interact with our customers and consumers really continues to evolve. So for me, that's another skill that allowed me to really be flexible in learning capabilities that were going to be key to the business as technology changes and evolves.
Thanks so much, Diane. And Ashley, how about you? What led you personally to the cloud space?
Yeah, so a little similar to Diane. I've been with State Farm since completing my bachelor's degree, and I started as a finance major in the College of Business. Ended up getting a double major with finance and MIS. Later, going on to get a master's degree. And I've really just kind of grown up within State Farm in technology, and been willing to take on different roles and assignments along the way. So I started as a software developer. I've spent time as an information security analyst, network technical analyst, business analyst, and then a number of leadership roles across both our human resources and IT organizations, inclusive of app dev, more operation-based roles, in leading our infrastructure area. And I just feel incredibly fortunate to be in my current role as CIO, the first female CIO for State Farm. And State Farm just celebrated last week 99 years as an organization. And so I really attribute that to a set of strong female role models. And I know we're going to get at that as to kind of who's mentored and brought us along. But peers that I've admired, mentees who have kind of pushed me to think differently, and just afforded me a number of opportunities. So I assumed my current role as CIO and a senior vice president 4 years ago, following a sizable transformation that we completed within IT. And now in my current role, I oversee our enterprise IT capabilities, which includes everything from our on-prem private cloud solutions that run in our data centers, all the way to our public cloud work, which is very much underway with a journey and migration. So happy to be here today and look forward to the conversation.
That's so wonderful, Ashley. Congratulations. So nice to hear and empowering to hear too. Prefa, can you tell us a bit about your personal journey to the cloud space?
Wow. I've got a little, I actually came as an immigrant, and I went to the University of Maryland. That I have. Are you guys hearing me? I keep disconnecting. Sorry. And so I decided, well, let me jump into computer science, because that's where, if I did well, I knew I would get a job real easy, and I did. So I graduated with a computer science degree, and I hopped around a few jobs, and then I landed at the Postal Service, and I've spent my entire career here, first as a programmer and a software developer. And then after 6 years of writing software and code, I woke up one morning and said, I got to do something different. I got to learn the business. So I went and did an MBA, and I came back, and I could then marry the business solutions problems to technology, and I was engaged in many modernization efforts. And so being recognized for bringing in some creativity into how we were modernizing. So that's essentially what landed me up at the CIO role, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Wonderful, Prefa. Thanks so much. So just, your paths are very interesting, and they're varying in some ways and similar in others. And I'm just wondering too about the standpoint of your company's journey, and what are some of the things you're working on in reference to the cloud projects that are bringing excitement to your organization and to your business partners. So I'm wondering, Ashley, if you can tell us a little bit about that, some of the things you're working on right now.
Yeah, so I mentioned in the opening, State Farm's been in existence for 99 years. And one of the things that we're doing is really declaring that State Farm and our technology, that we will be a public cloud first organization. And that alone is pretty exciting for an organization of our tenure. But we have a lot of work and momentum underway as we're trying to create an enterprise roadmap, define our target state architecture, and then really working our way through our entire application portfolio to really rationalize and settle on what that future state and disposition will be. We have employees who are really embracing development and feeling excited about this opportunity to learn new things and to enable their solutions and part of the business in exciting and innovative ways. And so we spend a lot of time talking about that at State Farm, of this notion of change and having a growth mindset and leveraging that, right? To be curious, to have this positivity and this drive toward the future, and how that's what's so critical to enable State Farm to maintain our market leadership position, to innovate on behalf of our company, and ultimately to be able to grow the organization. So a lot of excitement across both business and technology.
That's great. Diane, what cloud-related projects are you excited about right now at McCormick?
Well, like Ashley said, our company, McCormick, was founded in 1889. So it is a company with a lot of history and heritage. And actually, focusing on growth and technology to enable that has been really a focus. I joined the company 2 years ago as CIO. And like Ashley mentioned, in her role, I was the first CIO at McCormick in its history, and I told them that I won't be the last. But when it comes down to the transformation, our company, and the reason I joined McCormick was really because of our growth strategy. We're planning to double the size of our business by 2025. And underpinning all of that is going to be the change and transformation that we need to drive together. So I'm most excited about the journey we've been on with our cloud capabilities starting 2 years ago, and really advancing those capabilities across our supply chain, across our consumer business, and across our flavors business, to really be able to bring capabilities not only to our business partners, but to our customers and consumers as well. One of the areas that people get most excited about is really around data and analytics, and how that can bring value to market and value to our customers as well. And so whether it's bringing cloud capabilities, machine learning, AI, and other cloud computing capabilities to our analytics practitioners, our business experts, and our insights experts, really being able to turn that data and information into truly value-added action has been pretty exciting. And again, we have a very technology-focused business strategy. So being the CIO at McCormick at this time is, not a day goes by that I'm not excited to get up in the morning and really help drive that change.
Well, Diane, that's great to hear. We've got a lot of milestones being hit with this group. So wonderful to hear that you're breaking barriers in your organizations. Preetha, wondering, you're clearly managing a lot of projects at once, and I'm wondering, how did you decide what to do first? And did you leverage any frameworks or other methods to determine starting points?
Yeah, so we actually started our cloud journey in 2017, and we sort of went at it with a sort of an IaaS PaaS mindset, where we were going to cloud for redundancy, for compute, for storage, and all of that. We now have a very, very comprehensive cloud strategy. It's really a cloud right, not a cloud first, where we go through an architectural framework, and it's a framework that we established ourselves, where we essentially go through a current state review or a future state review, depending on if it's a new project. And we really look at the current state architecture. We look at the key business functions of the application. We look at the entire vision of the data flows and the consumption of data, the latencies. And then we kind of decide whether something goes on cloud or it's on-prem or it's, and then of course we have adopted a very large policy of SaaS products, because there's a lot of best-in-class products out there, whether it's human resources, whether it's payroll systems, whether it's Salesforce systems. So we certainly are very open to that, and we're also open to adopting those newer technologies. So we are actually in the process of moving some pretty substantial applications to the cloud, one of which is called Informed Delivery. I picked one that I thought everyone would know of. That's where you get a digital representation of the mail and the packages that are coming to your home. We're actually moving this entire application, the generation of these emails and text messages, to the cloud. We have about 40 million subscribers. It's a ton of data. So we've got, and we are basically looking at all our mission critical functions that are either in technical debt or end of life, and doing a complete architectural assessment to decide which one goes on cloud and not. We actually very early in the game created a cloud sandbox where we exposed all of our CIO employees to, really brought a lot of excitement within the CIO group on, embracing cloud. And, our data center folks are the right ones to embrace cloud because they always have dealt with large scale infrastructures. So that transition was amazingly easy once we created that sandbox and said, go have it, play. And we picked out some pilots that were very interesting, our visibility systems and things like that. So so we've got a pretty comprehensive strategy on leveraging cloud in many ways, from natural language processing to image processing to being disaster recovery, situations. So the possibilities are endless.
Wonderful. Outstanding. Thank you. And Ashley, question for you. As a company with a long history in technology estate, how did you get started on cloud, and what were a couple things that you specifically put in place that have been beneficial to your journey?
Yeah, so we began in earnest probably about 6 years ago on a digital transformation journey, and certainly public cloud was part of that, and really driven by necessity. So we've talked about kind of the legacy footprint and the history of our company. We knew that our solutions and technologies just were not going to be flexible enough to meet the future needs of the organization. And so we were looking for technologies and improvements that cloud could bring in terms of access to innovation, the pace of delivering new solutions, and enabling some critical business outcomes that we just weren't able to easily put together with our current approach. And so we established a strategy that went through some refinement and tailoring as we tried to determine, are we going to be multi-cloud, pick a single public cloud provider. We do operate very much in a hybrid environment. So one of our, I think, early and critical success factors was to establish a tech stack on-prem with a private cloud offering. And that was really, I would say, kind of a game changer and started momentum for a lot of our employees to build their skills and learn. It's a lot different if you go from being a Java-based developer, a PL1 or COBOL developer, which, yes, we still have those technologies, to learning how to position your product and develop in the cloud. And so a lot of step changes, but our internal public cloud, which we call our technical platform, was a critical step. Another critical step was establishing a center of excellence. So we created a kind of a center of expertise where we could pool the capabilities and then over time start to extend and grow them. Insurance is also a highly regulated industry. And so part of this was making sure we had a lot of automation and the appropriate controls in the environment to feel comfortable that as we were taking a step forward, we wouldn't put our customers, their data, State Farm in jeopardy as someone was working through a learning curve. And we're seeing great benefits. One of our early solutions that went to cloud is what we call Drive Safe and Save, but it's our auto telematics solution. And essentially that's a voluntary tool, right, that customers can subscribe to. We leverage public cloud, and we're really getting the benefit of sophistication, innovation, scale, where we can crunch through data very rapidly. We have the ability to scale up and down environments. So from an expense savings perspective, we got some good wins from our first endeavor.
Great. Well, I'd like to pivot the conversation a little bit to your personal and professional inspirations. So I'm wondering, let's turn to your hopes as leaders in the cloud and what you would like your legacy to be. So Prefa, can you tell us what you would like your legacy to be?
Yeah, I think my legacy it's all about the people. It's all about what I'm really trying to do is sort of enable from the core. So we have, so you bring that growth mindset across the people and across the workforce. You bring a diverse and inclusive workforce, and the rest is very easy because they sort of take it and run with it. As we've seen in the Postal Service, especially during COVID, our CIO group was pretty phenomenal in getting people to work remotely and in figuring out how to do solutions. And now we've got, I'd say, about 7 big business mission critical functions that are going to cloud, and it's all really about the workforce. We had put forward I put forward a very strong training program. So we called it digital badges, where we created degrees, and like a cloud architect, a cloud developer, a Kubernetes architect, and we sort of identified these courses across many platforms like the Cloud Guru, Coursera, Pluralsight, and we actually identified these courses and we said, go have at it, guys, have fun. We didn't mandate it. We wanted it to come from within. We also started something called a tech chat, where we invited leaders in the cloud space, the different cloud providers with their solutions, and we would promote it. And we started getting over 500 people from our CIO organization joining those. And I think that's the legacy that I would like to leave, is really bringing that mindset, enabling, having a very inclusive and diverse environment, because then solutions come naturally. And the other is also building very strong collaborations with the business, because one has to be sure that when you're doing technological solutions, that they're really driving business value. So building that bridge and having that open communications and enabling that collaboration across the organization. And then just getting out of the way, because then once people collaborate, things happen. So that's kind of my legacy, I hope.
I love that. Breaking down barriers and adding some collaboration. That's wonderful. Diane, how about you? What would you like your legacy to be?
Well, like Preetha, it's to me about the people. And for me, it's really being inspiring people to make positive change, to challenge themselves, to learn and grow. Because I know when you have that in place, the technology and the solutions come into play, right? But making sure people have the support they need to develop, that is truly what I want my legacy to be. Then, like I said, the tech happens. Even at McCormick, when we're going through a transformation, we could talk about the business transformation, the digital transformation, but there's a whole focus on our talent and people that's really key to our success. And working, for example, in the IT function, with technology changing, and you have people that have been doing their roles in maybe legacy technologies for a long time. How do you really help them grow and learn? And I love what Preeta just said about giving people the opportunity, right, to train, to get certified, to get their hands on and get into it, I think is really important and part of our strategy. So I really want people to be able to face into change, be fearless about it, have what they need to learn and develop, and be okay with taking some chances. I mentioned earlier how I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable, and I think as a leader, that's something I like to, you know, kind of share with my teams. It makes us better and stronger together, you know, in the teams and the hard work we're doing. The other piece too really is also about that collaboration. So being super connected to the business functions that you work with is really important, and that really, you know, enables driving value, not just bringing tech for tech's sake, not just moving to the cloud because it's, you know, something that everyone wants to do and move towards, but really understanding why you're doing it and focusing those capabilities. So I really also want to be known for making an impact to the business and the results, and really, you know, celebrating that across the teams that we're part of.
Great. Ashley, how about you?
Yeah, I would say very similar. And so not to pile on that, I think, you know, I look at my role as being a builder of bridges, and it's exactly what Preeta and Diane just said, of making sure that the technology has an alignment to our business strategies, that it's making a difference for the organization. And I think the ability to create that transparency and line of sight for the tech teams is critically important to get some momentum. And the secondary thing then is just being an influencer for the engineers and the technologists themselves to push beyond maybe what have been some of those internal barriers or things that they feel like they can't overcome, and inspire them that we do really great things when we put our mind to it. So really just kind of unleashing that human potential to go after the problems.
Great. Well, I cannot believe we're we're almost running out of time. So, and I have so many more questions to ask you. I want to talk to you about, you know, your role as women leaders in this space, and just wondering what women in your lives inspire you and why, personally or professionally. Prefa, can you tell us?
Yeah, I certainly can. So if you haven't read this book, it's called My Beloved World. It's by Sonia Sotomayor. She's a Supreme Court Justice. Hers was a fascinating story, and I've always looked up to her. She actually grew up in a very modest home in the Bronx. She was of Puerto Rican origins, and she, at the age of 7, discovered she had diabetes, and she had to take her own insulin shots. And I think at a very young age, she started watching Perry Mason on TV, and she decided she was going to practice law in some shape or form. And so she had this extraordinary determination and power of believing in herself that sort of rings very throughout the whole book. And whenever she speaks, I always run to listen to her. So I would say she was one of my inspirations, a woman who truly worked extraordinarily well. She built families along the way of mentors, which was amazing how she did that. And she, you know, she got to where she did from a very modest background. So yeah. I would say that certainly was one of my mentors.
Great. Diane, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to pick one because there's so many women that inspire me. And now that I'm getting to know more about Ashley and Preetha's stories as well, you know, every day I find a different woman that just brings a different perspective. I am going to just say something that's really personal. My mother is my inspiration, always has been, always will be. Not because she's my mother and she has given me confidence, never doubted me, certainly pushed me to do some of the right things, but just like her resilience, right, as a person and what she's done in her life and with our family, that is someone I inspire to be every day. But in my professional career, you know, I've had so many amazing women that I have worked with and for that really are still inspirations. You know, one of my mentors, I've known her since my very first job as an IT manager, and she gave me an opportunity to interview for a director role reporting to her as CIO. And I went for that, and I was really excited. I think she saw something in me at the time that I didn't. And when I was interviewing with one of my business partners who asked me a question. She said to me, you know, do you want to be CIO of this company? And I had to think about it, and I said, I'm not sure. And she said to me, why not? You know, and why would I hire you at this role if you didn't want to, you know, go bigger? And so I thought about that, and it's really interesting because those two women are still in my life. They still give me advice. They're people I go to for guidance. And so again, those are a few examples I'd call out, but I do get inspired by women every day.
That's great. I have a very similar story to that. It's like when you have key mentors when you're young and they point out to you what your capabilities are before you even know that you have them. Ashley, how about you? What is some women who inspire you in your life?
Yeah, so one that I would share is my grandmother on my mom's side of the family. And she was someone that from a temperament perspective seemed fearless. She was always kind of ahead of her time in terms of the things she liked to do, how she approached life. And I think, you know, she and I would talk about this notion of, you know, don't let a fear of failure cause you to pull back, that like great things happen when you kind of dare to be great and you step out there. And I think, I mean, not only is that an incredible life lesson, but you think about being a female in a primarily male dominated field. There are days I don't feel like daring greatly, right? That I get in my own head and I'm maybe afraid to take the risk. And I kind of listen to her voice to convince me to move forward. And within State Farm, I'll say there was a female technology pioneer, a vice president in our department, who rose to the ranks and really, you know, exhibited and pushed many of those lessons that I heard from my grandmother. And I think she really taught me, she always had a mind and a hand out to say, you know, I've made it, like, let me turn around and look behind me and offer a hand or help. So she was a great mentor, no doubt opened numerous doors and opportunities for me. And so I think now that's part of what's instilled in me of like wanting to give back, mentor, do what I can to remove obstacles and just make it easier for those coming next.
Great. And, you know, that your answer sort of shapes this next question very well, which is about, you know, challenges that are faced by women in this field. And I'm wondering if you can speak to that, and then also sort of offer up any advice that you might have for women who are trying to break into this space. Diane, do you have any thoughts on that? Any challenges you faced?
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is so many years ago, but I still find this every once in a while that used to be the only woman at a table, right, at a leadership table. And I always felt that maybe feel a little lonely, or I might not have been taken as seriously as maybe one of my male counterparts who might have had less or different experience than I did. And I think that used to make me feel intimidated a bit. And I started to have to really like look at myself and figure out, why am I feeling that way? And really kind of building a strength, which is I'm at this table for a reason, right? And that's okay. And I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to find my voice and share that. You know, and I think that's my advice to all women, you know, in this field is, the industry is still, but you know, the great thing is it's continues to change. But when you do find yourself in that situation, you know, just remember that you're there for a reason, and to go ahead and speak your mind, and people will listen, right? People will listen to you. I think it's just building that confidence. I hope that's changing, you know, as we go forward. I think it is, but I just remember that from years ago, and just having to find a little support in my own self to be able to be that voice on the table and make a difference.
Great. Preetha, how about you? Do you have any advice?
Yeah, it's my mother always taught me, be extraordinary. So I will say that I did have challenges earlier on when I was a technology manager, because as Diane said, I was the only woman, and it was sometimes hard for me to lead engineers because there were some that sort of didn't think the woman could cut it, kind of thing. So that was a challenge. But the way I dealt with that was I would just demonstrate excellence in any way I could. Instead of confronting it or anything, I would say, okay, well, let me just show you why it's valuable for you to talk to me. So I always tell women, go for what you want, be extraordinary, believe in yourself, and always excel, always volunteer. I never turned a job down in the postal service. Anything that I was asked to do, I raised my hand to do. So I became visible. And then I also say, let it be known. There are women tend not to go forward and say, hey, I deserve this promotion. Have you considered me? And I always tell people, if you're looking to get a job, or let it be known, that you want to be in the running. So yeah, those are some of the things that kept me going.
Great. Want to shift because we're running out of time, and I want to definitely get to the topic of diversity in teams and how important that is. Ashley, wanted to ask how you're incorporating diversity into your teams and what difference has that made?
Yeah, so incredibly important. And this is a passion of mine. So within State Farm, I'm one of 8 executives across the enterprise that serve on a D&I steering group to support our Chief Diversity Officer, and really to guide kind of our future outcomes. And part of my passion for that is what we were just talking about, right? It's our own personal journeys and stories. And so for me in my current role, I can think of it as I'm building my executive team, and firmly believe that if I hire people who are just like me, I'm kind of missing the point. And so I look for diversity of experience, race, gender, right? It comes in a lot of fashions, but I truly believe that the best outcomes come when we have that mix within our teams. And it requires intent. You really have to make it a priority. And at the macro level, as I look at our hiring, across our department, it's thinking about where we source candidates, and do we have the right level of talent pipelines that are diverse, or how do I put appropriate controls and checks in place to make sure diverse candidates are making it through different levels and progressing. Or identifying, are there specific obstacles that are somehow blocking them that I'm in a position to offer leverage, attention, influence to try to remove, which again, I firmly believe even if you're tackling an issue within the D&I spectrum to benefit one group, it probably benefits everyone. And so really just making sure that we keep it at the forefront. My team and I talk about that, and that I've got appropriate controls when I step back and look at it at an enterprise or department level.
Great. Diane, do you have anything to add to that in terms of the importance of diversity and any initiatives or actions that you'd like to talk about that McCormick has instituted?
Yeah, I mean, like Ashley mentioned, I serve on our global D&I council as well for the company. And actually this morning we had our global diversity and inclusion town hall, which was, pretty inspiring as well. For me, the importance of building diversity in your teams and across your business really means it brings, innovation, new ideas, and, being very much a people-focused company, it's really important to value our talent. And that even, started from our founder as well many years ago, really the importance of people in this. And I think for me, it does take intent. We have to measure ourselves. We have goals, and we are tracking those and getting close to achieving some of those as well, which is pretty exciting. But I think valuing people and understanding that all of your perspectives and your backgrounds and experience can impact the company in a positive way is really key to this. And also giving people some opportunities and allowing that, to be part of the expression of the company. So having people be their authentic self at work. I do focus on creating diverse teams as well. And, I don't want to talk to people just like me all day long, right? It's not as interesting. So that's the other part of it too. I just get so much energy from other people, their backgrounds and experiences.
Great. Well, I cannot believe that that's all the time that we have. This time went by so fast, and I just want to thank you, my panelists, Ashley and Preetha and Diane, for such inspiring words, and would like to also thank our audience for joining us for this very inspiring and informative discussion. It was wonderful to be a part of it, and I think now I'm going to pass the torch back to Gina.